Good evening, everyone. Thank you for your attendance. I'm just going to read out the Chairman's introduction, as we do at the beginning of all these meetings. Chairman's introduction. This is a meeting of the Council held in public. It is not a public meeting. There is no fire drill planned, so if the fire alarm sounds, please leave by the exit nearest the large screen at the front of the room and proceed down the fire exit to the courtyard. Once it is safe to return, councillors will receive a text message. Officers will also advise when it is safe to return to the meeting. We are recording the meeting this evening using our webcasting system. The webcast will be transmitted live and will also be available on the council's website. Following the meeting, all mobile devices should be switched off or set to silent so that the meeting is not interrupted by ringtones. Thank you. So this is the meeting of the Basildon Area Committee. Item number 1, are there any apologies from absence, please?
Councillor Callaghan. Thank you. And Councillor Ferguson for lateness. Thank you.
Yeah, Councillor Ferguson may arrive late. Okay. Item number 2, declarations of interest. Are there any declarations of interest from members in the room? No, thank you. Item number 3, the minutes, which are set up on pages 7 to 16. Confirmation of the meeting, the minutes of the meeting of the Basildon Area Committee on the 27th of February 2025. Can we agree that they are a true and correct record of the meeting? All those in favour? Thank you. That moves us on swiftly onto community spotlight item number 4. Just like to welcome Jane Parmenter from the Jack Petchey Fund, the grants manager of the Jack Petchey Fund, and Moira Brock, who is the founder of La Danse Fantastique. Welcome. Start first with Jane Parmenter from the grants manager of Jack Petchey Foundation. Thank you for coming in. I'll hand over to you. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. So, yes, my name's Jane Parmenter and I'm the grants manager at the Jack Petchey Foundation. And I've been working with Jenny for a couple of years now on work in Basildon with young people. And I'm here today to talk about the opportunities that the Jack Petchey Foundation provide to young people. So we'll kick off with our first slide. So the Jack Petchey Foundation, there we are, a little bit of a delay there. We offer a variety of programmes and opportunities to young people aged 11 to 25 across all London boroughs and all districts of Essex. And to date, we've invested over £180 million to projects and programmes to help raise the aspirations of young people. In Basildon alone, we started working with you in 2007, and we've given £1.118 million to programmes that we've run with your borough. And the Jack Petchey Foundation works with 1,700 schools and youth clubs across London and Essex. They're always secondary schools, but we have a special interest in our pupil referral units and special needs schools, but it's all secondary schools. And we're in 92% of schools across London and Essex, so it's quite a large reach. What we find is it's not always easy to get into youth clubs. Youth clubs sometimes think, where's the catch? There isn't a catch. We've been going for 25 years and no one's yet found one. And when people join the scheme, they go, oh, we could kick ourselves. So we're here today just to raise the profile and just give a little bit more awareness about what we do. So let's talk a little bit about the man behind the money. Sadly, we lost Sir Jack last year. He died in June. He came from very humble beginnings in the East End of London. Didn't like school, left school with no qualifications, but he did rise to become one of the UK's most successful businessmen. And he set up the foundation in 1999, as I mentioned earlier, to raise the aspirations of young people and to motivate them and to recognise their achievements, however small. So it doesn't mean you've got to be the best. It's about young people that try their hardest. And he always wanted young people to try to believe in themselves. And his motto that a lot of young people know now is, if you think you can, you can. So we move on to our next slide. So I've given a list here of all the schools at the top that are currently running our Achievement Award scheme, which is nearly every single school in Basildon, and all the youth groups that they're currently working with. Jenny's been helping me. We've got about 6 of those through Jenny's help over the last couple of years, but we know there's a lot more youth groups that we can tap into, and as I say, that's why we're here today. So we'll move to the next slide, please. There are lots of programmes at the Jack Petchey Foundation Fund. We work in secondary schools, we do public speaking competitions, we do financial awareness, we do a table tennis donation scheme, we do dance programmes, employability workshops, we work with the Essex Boys and Girls Club, we do science programmes, and we fund 20 internships. We fully fund their pay for a year for young people. And we're very much invested in young people, and young people that come through our programmes do have the opportunity to then become trustees, and we do have 2 young trustees at the foundation now. Yes, so we move on to the next slide. So this is a whistle-stop tour of our flagship programme, which is the Achievement Award scheme. So that's what we're here to talk about today. This is where we can give youth clubs and secondary schools funding to help raise the aspirations of young people, and it's a nomination programme. Depending on how many young people you're working with, you may have 3, 6 or 9 awards per year. The maximum you can have per scheme is £6,400 per year, and you can nominate 3, 6 or 9 young people per year depending on the size of your organisation, and that is just a table of the different levels, so we won't need to go into detail with that, but that just gives you a little bit of an idea. If you're a tiny little scouts group, you might be on the bronze scheme. If you had a medium-sized scouts or air cadets group with about 80 young people, you could be on silver, and if you were a large youth club, you could be on the gold scheme. So it all depends on how often you meet the young people and how many young people you work with. So each young person that gets nominated by their peers is nominated for doing something special. It might be something, they might have helped somebody, it might be doing something in the community. Once they've been chosen by their peers, they have a grant that they can spend on something that's going to benefit the young people in their organisation or their school. And it might be things like equipment, camping equipment, specialist training. If they was in a football club, they might want to do their level 1 coaching, they might want to buy goals, footballs, they might want to go on trips. There are opportunities to do coaching qualifications, for example, a cricket club or a football club might want to go and do their referee courses. Specialist coaches can come in and provide extra classes for young people. Or if it was a youth club, they might want to create a video or have a special tournament or an environmental project. But the trips are the most popular. They love going on the trips, they love camping, they love residentials, they love going out to eat, cinema, all the things that young people do. So this really gives the youth clubs and schools a little bit of glitter. It's all about the extras that you wouldn't normally be able to fund on your funding. So we move on to the next slide. All the organisations that run the scheme get materials from us twice a year. They get the relevant number of certificates, they get little pin badges, notes from Jack Petchey, which is all little tips he's picked up over the years. And we hold annual events. So we hold about 80 events a year across London and Essex. We now hold 2 in Basildon, the Towngate Theatre, because it's got so big, so we can't fit you all in. So a couple of years ago, it was standing room only and we got in trouble. So we've now got it for 2 nights and it's packed on both nights, and we'd welcome you to come along if you want to come along to one of those events in September. So we'd like to move on to the next slide. So the eligibility criteria for an organisation to join is probably quite similar to your grant criteria when youth groups are applying for grants with the council. They would need to be a registered charity, state school or not-for-profit organisation, be based in London or Essex, been operating for at least a year, regularly work with young people aged 11 to 25, have an active attendance of 12 young people, be promoting growth and development of young people, committed to participation of young people in the decision making in the organisation, be committed to diversity and inclusion, be financially sustainable, and they cannot be a profit-making company, private school or group established to promote a specific political or religious belief. other opportunities that are available to all the organisations that run our scheme, just waiting for that slide to come up, they have the Achievement Awards, which is for the young people, but we equally recognise that the adults do fantastic work. So we have a whole range of volunteers all over Basildon that are doing brilliant work. And this is an opportunity which we call the Leaders Award, where young people can nominate a leader at their youth group every year or their school. That person needs to be over 18. They come along to one of our events and they can apply for a grant for up to £1,000. And as long as that grant will benefit the young people, it's quite a broad criteria. Every organisation that runs the scheme can apply for 2 educational visits per year. Each trip you can claim up to £1,200, so that's £2,400, and as long as there's an educational value to that trip, then you qualify. And this is just to give young people an opportunity, particularly to get out of the borough, go to London, go to Southend, go to somewhere that's different, but it needs to be educational. It can be within Basildon, but we just like to give young people the opportunity to travel, get on a train, see what it's like to go on a bus, go somewhere different. So that's our educational visits grant. There's another couple of opportunities in this particular programme. One of them will be an environmental award. It's our newest grant, and this is to give young people the opportunity to think about things they could do in the environment. So it might be a litter picking project, it might be it might be a gardening project, something that's going to help sustain the environment. And a young person is put forward for this award, and like the Achievement Awards, they get a grant for £300, and they've done some cracking ideas what the young people have thought of to spend that money, and they all get a little wooden medallion for that one, because we've got to be very, very mindful of being eco-friendly. And the final grant, you don't have to be on the scheme to run this, so you may have relatives, you may sometimes hear of young people that are packing bags in Sainsbury's because they want to go abroad to do a volunteering project in Africa. They might want to be helping to build a school, and they've got to raise about £3,000 to go there. We give grants, an unlimited number of grants to young people, up to £500 if they're going anywhere, even if it's in the UK, to do volunteering projects. We want to support them. So the maximum they can have is £500, but we do want to encourage young people that are doing smaller projects as well, because if there's a cost involved, we want to be in a position where we can support them. And if we now go on to our final slide, which is how to apply. We feel that the eligibility criteria is quite tight, but once you're on the scheme, we've got organisations that have been running the scheme for 25 years. Once you're on, you don't have to reapply. As long as you're telling us your winners and you're spending your money, it's very, very light admin. We don't ask for receipts, but we do sometimes do spot checks. But it's very, very admin light. Jack's belief was that your time is best spent working with young people, not filling in our paperwork. And that's the motto we stick with. His funding that he generated when he was alive is in trust. And our foundation, we have committed to continue his legacy, and this will continue for many, many years. His businesses are thriving, and the money always gets put back into the foundation. So if you do know of youth groups that are doing great work, I've seen a few on your papers that you've supported, some of your boxing clubs, and there's a cricket club. Please, I've left some flyers here, just spread the word. And it's like I say, there isn't a catch. And Moira's been on the scheme, haven't you, for a long, long time. Yeah. And anybody got any questions?
Thank you very much. I had the pleasure of attending the Jack Petchey Awards last year and handing out a few of the awards, so that was fantastic. I really enjoyed it, and I know the kids that are at the school I work for really pleased as punch, to get that award and tell the mates at school the next day. It's really great. So thanks for all you do. And any questions and comments from the members? Yeah, Councillor Brown.
Hi, yeah. Like Alan, I've attended many Jack Petchey Awards. I'm a teacher in my other life, and so the various schools I've worked at over the times, I've been someone that's gone along to support people in my year group or in my sixth form class, etc., who have gone on to win awards. And it is something that has a golden shine to it, in terms of when you put down on an application form that you won a Jack Petchey Award, employers know what that means. And I think for our young people to be involved, not only does it give them opportunities in terms of cultural capital and what that can bring them, but it enables them to grow in ways through those opportunities that they might not initially think about, the types of projects that they do within school in order to get nominated for those Jack Petchey Awards, and those soft skills that they learn that we can't teach them in a classroom, as much as Alan and I might try. You know, the way in which how you talk to people, how you conduct yourself, how you commit to a project and see that through. All of those life skills Jack Petchey is embodied within. And so I think it's just a wonderful organisation. And for anybody that might or might not be listening to this, it is definitely, as an organisation, worth the tiny little bit of effort it takes initially in order to give those young people you work with the opportunity. I had 2 kids who won awards. I won an award once as a leader, a long time ago. But no, it's a wonderful evening. It's such a celebration as well. And I think it's got such a wonderful story to it in terms of what Jack did and what he stood for. And, you know, particularly for kids who might not think, well, that's not really me, that whole idea that it always could be you. Thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah, I agree with everything Councillor Brown has just said. It's been fantastic. I particularly like the idea of a leader award. Is that a recent addition? But you didn't get a grant for £1,000. Oh, brilliant. So, yeah, thank you. Are there any other queries and comments?
You can't spend it on yourself.
No.
I can't say I'm going to Mexico.
Well, I just want to say thank you for attending, and we will be, let people know about this, and the leaflets are available. Yes, Councillor Brown.
Yeah, and I think, Jenny, maybe your team can do something with internal comms so that all our officers are aware, because each of them interact with many different other groups, not just professionally, but in their private lives. Many of them are heavily involved in our community groups, and may not be aware that this opportunity is there for those people that they work with. So I think if we did some internal as well as some external comms promoting this, I think that could be really beneficial.
Mr. Chairman, first of all, thank you for your indulgence and allow me to arrive slightly later. Without wanting to do down the rail services around, I do appreciate you allow me to join slightly later, and apologies for missing the presentation. Fundamentally believe in the work of the Jack Petchey Foundation and being able to reward young people for giving back to their communities and having done so for many, many years. I think it's incredibly powerful, and I think the statement that sends to young people that are making a difference in their schools, in their communities, being able to raise awareness of the projects they've been getting involved with, really sets the tone for other young people to be able to want to do the same and feel that sense of ownership of the vouchers and the rewards that they're getting of the cash donations to give back into the community projects. I think it's incredibly valuable, and I think just to completely echo the comments of Councillor Brown there, I think there's such a role to be able to raise the profile through communications channels of that and celebrate the young people that are doing so many wonderful things in our borough that we should be incredibly proud of and fully want to support them. And I was lucky enough to be able to present the Jack Petchey Awards at the Dance Fantastique in January, and that was an incredible privilege to be able to do so, and want to thank Maura for that opportunity as well.
Yeah.
My guys absolutely focus on Jack Petchey. It's something which, at the beginning of the year, I say to them, okay, we need to start thinking about who deserves the Jack Petchey Award, and they all put their hand up, like I do, and we have well, you sent it years ago. It's a bit battered, but it's a voting box, and we do slips, and which is really good for us because a lot of mine are special needs, and we do the voting slip as you would do for an election. And they put them in the box, and we count the votes for the students. And it is, it's become a very important part of our year. and they all make decisions about what we want to spend the money on, and it's always for the benefit of the school. And we've been doing the Leader Awards for quite some time now, actually, and the children make up their mind in January who they want to put forward for the Leader Award. It's become an integral part of how we roll. So, and the educational trips money's been brilliant. We've done quite a few actually, but we normally use them for trips to the Globe Theatre, and it pays for workshops at the Globe, and they do costume and study Shakespeare at the Globe, and that's something which happens on a regular basis. Yeah, it's just, love it. It's been great.
Well, thank you. I'll go straight on to Moira then. Thank you for your coming along, and you're here to provide an update on the Parkinson's project from La Danse Fantastique, which was originally funded by this area committee. If you'd like to launch into that, that would be fantastic. Cheers.
Firstly, thanks very much for inviting me this evening. Back in 2018, I was among a group of teachers who were given an opportunity to attend the Royal Ballet School, and they were running dance classes for people with Parkinson's. It was a really heavy day. They had somebody from the NHS talking about Parkinson's, and they demonstrated a ballet class. And suffice to say, I was really impressed. Had no idea anything about Parkinson's at all, but obviously a grounding in classical ballet, so I knew the benefits. Came back, did some research, contacted Parkinson's UK, and found out that if we were going to do anything, we would need some training on top of what the teachers already had. And then COVID hit. So it all kind of went pear-shaped, really. I didn't go any further with it, and we forgot all about it. And then Jenny spoke to me and mentioned that there would be a possibility for some funding. So I started to look at it again in 2024, and then we put a grant application in, and thankfully we got the grant, which was so exciting. And then I contacted the NHS, and we started the training for the teachers in January. Personally, I've got to say the teachers were blown away by this training. Never in a million years did I understand anything about Parkinson's, but what we learnt in that training session was that any of us obviously could catch Parkinson's, but if you catch Parkinson's, you're almost 90% to get dementia. If you have dementia, you're 90% sure of getting Parkinson's. We learnt so much. It was a fascinating training opportunity. On the 3rd of February, we actually started Parkinson's classes. I'm not going to say that I was really ecstatic, because we didn't get that many through the door, and I was a little bit disappointed. However, word has spread, and that first session was a real eye-opener for us and for the people that attended. And I'm going to tell you this evening about some of the, I'm not quite sure what to call them, because they're really friends now, and I suppose you would call them clients. But the first Tuesday morning, I received a call from one of the client's wives. She was in tears. She told me that her husband had become a recluse since the diagnosis. He hadn't been outside the door. They haven't been to family dinners because he is unable to control his arm. So he feels like sitting at a dinner table is going to upset people, especially family. And he'd become really depressed. And she said it was having a great effect on their marriage. when she got our flyer, she said to him, right, this is an ultimatum. We're going to try this. And she said, don't tell me no, because if you tell me no, this means you're not prepared to go any further with this. Anyway, they turned up. And John, oh, I'd love you to meet John. John is a professional guitarist. He worked with all of the top bands in the 60s and 70s. He's travelled the world. He's met Jimi Hendrix. He's played with the Beatles. He has stories to tell that would blow your mind. And when he walked in that first day, he's got an implant. So the left side, he has a modicum amount of control, but on the right side, he has absolutely no control at all, which means he can't play the guitar. He's an absolute whiz at classical guitar. He's got videos to show you that would blow your mind. And the stories that he tells us have just been amazing. And we laugh and joke with him now. He wouldn't miss a Monday unless he's got a hospital appointment. And now, she said, the depression has completely turned him around. And he lives for Monday. He's now attending family dinners. They don't go to restaurants yet, but they go to family dinners. And although we struggle to get him to complete the dance class, the singing lessons have literally blown him away. And he's engaging with the teacher, and he's engaging with the other people on the project, and they have such a good time. It's a pleasure when he walks through the door to see his face now. And although I can't say the dance classes are building his strength up, I can honestly say the depression has lifted, and it's made a world of difference to John. I'd like to tell you about Cyril. Cyril's a tiny little man who was born, he's Maltese, and very unassuming, but not very confident. Again, depression seems to be a really big thing with people with Parkinson's. On the first class, when they left, Cyril's wife thanked us, and she said, we will be back next week. So I thought, oh, well, at least we've got 4 coming through the door next week. And then she phoned me, and she said, we have a holiday booked. So I said, oh, don't worry, come the following week. She said, no, Cyril's adamant that we're going to cancel the Monday trip, and we'll we'll go on Tuesday so we can come to your classes. I went, oh, I was really quite touched. I went, oh, thank you, that's lovely. Again, Cyril's Parkinson's is affecting his ability to be in the world, because people with Parkinson's, they don't like the world to see that they can't stand, and their walking is difficult, and when they're eating, it's difficult. So they tend to become very much reclusives. People that have joined our group are reversing that pattern, which is great, absolutely amazing to see. And Cyril is walking better, not perfect, but he's walking better. And his wife has told me that he's building strength, which he didn't think he could be able to do. It's not going to turn it around. I've got to be honest, you can't sort of do these classes and think, oh, this is a wonderful cure. It isn't. But what it is doing is showing them how they can control their core muscle. So if they start to stumble, their strength in their core muscle has increased, so they know the techniques to be able to straighten themselves up. They're loving the singing classes, absolutely loving the singing classes. This next client I'm going to tell you about is called Keith. I've known Keith for a number of years, was absolutely shocked when he said he was going to attend. He's an ex-fireman and a karate instructor. I have watched Keith since diagnosis almost shrink in size. This very tall, upright, strong and determined man has halved. And I see him when I walk my dogs. So some mornings I see him and he can barely put one foot in front of the other and he's shuffling. And I always say, "Morning, Keith, all right?" And he'll go, "Yep, good, how are you?" And I go, "Not a good day today, Keith." And he goes, "Not really, but we won't focus on it." So one of these people that have got a lot of determination. When I see Keith on a Tuesday morning now, his walking is so much better. And I say to him, "Oh, morning, Keith. Good morning." Always on a Tuesday morning. But on the Wednesday, it reverts back to what it was before. So whatever effect these exercises are having, at this present moment in time, it doesn't seem to be lasting, which is a little bit disappointing. But when you think of the deterioration of muscle and ability to be able to control muscle, then I suppose one dance class a week isn't going to create a miracle. The overriding thing about this is the fact that they are all building a community which they are supporting one another with tips on medication. When we break for coffee, it's, "Oh, well, what meds are you on today?" And, you know, it's been quite an eye-opener. My last lady I'm going to tell you about, well, not my last, but I'm going to talk to you about Linda. This was something I hadn't banked on. I didn't think there'd be anybody that had had Parkinson's for such a long period of time. She's had it for 14 years. She's really bad. I don't know how she walks to the studio. I really don't know how she gets there without falling over and having a really serious accident. She's a military wife, so independent and so focused on building her life through exercise, and, you know, she's an amazing woman. She says to me, "I wouldn't not do the class," she said, "because I do feel there's a huge benefit here." I spoke to the Parkinson's nurse about her because she is probably the one that's the worst out of everybody. And the nurse said that the problem with Parkinson's is that they start on a low dose of medication and the Parkinson's gets worse because they can help with the effects, but they can't cure it. So they up the medication. And over the years, the medication is upped and upped and upped. And Linda now is 14 years down the line, is not only coping with the Parkinson's, but she's coping with the effects of the medication, which, when you look at it, are probably worse than the Parkinson's. But, again, she's made friends with everybody, so she gets a lift home now, and they're all coming to the ballet in November with us. So they've become very much a connect group. The last lady I'm going to tell you about is called Jo, and this shocked me because it didn't occur to me that somebody could be affected in the way that it has. Because it's muscular, it has affected her ability to talk. So she has become a selective mute because she cannot, when she does speak, it sounds like she's drunk, and she finds that embarrassing, and she finds it, she just finds that she doesn't want to speak because she thinks people are laughing at her. The singing classes is what the Parkinson's nurse said she would benefit from, and she's been coming for 4 weeks, so it's not a long time. And on Monday this week, she walked in and she said, "Morning, everyone. Who's doing coffee?" And I cried like the idiot I am. But I just thought, oh my word. And I thought, no, don't say anything. Don't comment. Just let it ride. And these are the small, and they are small. I'm not going to say they're great, sort of advances in this. But this is what the grant has helped with. And we have people joining slowly. And Parkinson's did say to me that it would be slow. But people are beginning to sort of realise that we are there and that this is something that you could do and enjoy. So my work with the Danse Fantastique, I've done for 40 years. I started dancing when I was 3. I've never not danced. It's been rewarding, it's been fulfilling, it's been all of those things. But honestly, the work that we're doing with these people with Parkinson's, I honestly think has been more rewarding and more fulfilling than what my work with the kids has been. Because you're working with people that are so low in life and so sorry, I know that's going to sound awful, but so sorry for themselves, because everybody we've spoken to has got a life story which is amazing, and we laugh and they tell jokes and they take the mick out of one another, and it's just been amazing, and I'm really grateful. I'm grateful for them, but I'm also grateful that you recognised us and gave us the money, because without that we wouldn't have started it, and it wouldn't have had the effect in these people's lives that it has done. So thank you. From the bottom of my heart, really. I've got no words that can say what a difference it's made to these people's lives.
Yes, thank you very much. I think I speak on behalf of all the committee when we say we're happy to do our very small part to help enable all the wonderful work that you've been doing with these people. So those stories and reports on what's happening is really moving. So thank you for what you're doing. Any comments and queries, Andrew, Councillor Ansell?
Thank you, Chair. Maura, so good to see you again. I think time has flown by since late October when Jenny and I came to see you and see firsthand the amazing work that you and the team do at La Danse Fantastique. I think there's no other words for it. You're a real community champion, and I cannot speak high enough of the work you do with our residents to teach life skills and to bring joy to the lives of the people of this borough. I'm still in awe of all the performances that you and the team have put on through the years, all the many fine establishments, great and small, and even all the accreditations that you support young people to get that makes a real difference to kind of building confidence, and improving life chances for people in this borough. I knew as soon as I saw that expression of interest that you'd put in that it was going to be a winner. I knew it, and it's fantastic to hear this evening that the project is a success and there's real quantifiable output to show that it's a success. And I know you mentioned kind of during your presentation the words building community, and I think that's so important, so heartwarming. And I think this is exactly what the area committee was established to do, and I'm so proud that I might have played my very small part to help you do the amazing work that you do, to support. And again, I think this committee was set up to support the unsung heroes in our community that do so much, like yourself, Maura, and the team, to enrich our society. And again, I think also personally a little bit proud to say that I'm pleased as a community group in my ward of Friends that is trailblazing new therapy with the NHS to support residents diagnosed with Parkinson's. So again, I think echo the words of Councillor Davies to say, from the bottom of our hearts, Moira, big thank you, and keep up the good work.
No, thank you. It's an absolute to work on we look forward to Mondays, and honestly, if you was to walk into my building at 11 o'clock, the laughing starts as soon as they walk through the door. It's just been amazing. Absolute, it's been a joy. So thank you very, very much. It's a wonderful thing that you've done. These people deserve it. I just wish there was a cure for it, but it's like everything else in life, isn't it? We wish there was a cure for everything. But thank you. It's been amazing.
Any other comments? Councillor Ferguson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Moira, for coming along to present tonight. And just to echo the comments from both yourself, Mr. Chairman, and Councillor Ansell, that the work that you do is absolutely incredible. And when you describe those moments, the small moments that individuals and those conversations you have with individuals and the difference they make, I know they're not small. They are huge differences that are being made to individuals' lives. Those conversations, those steps that people are taking, the support that people have got, I know the difference that makes and how powerful those opportunities that you're presenting them makes to enrich their lives, but also not just their lives, but also their families as well, and how much that is a safety net to those families who are often worried about what activities their families and their loved ones are able to take part in, and how much comfort it gives to them for those that they love and care about so deeply are able to take part in such positive activity that makes such a difference. So on behalf of the committee, just a huge thank you to you, and look forward to continuing to see the work of the Dance Fantastique, and make a promise that I will look forward to on Monday and come and see one of the sessions taking place.
Can I just say that Parkinson's UK are looking to do a big, well, I don't know whether it would be big, but it'll be a presentation of everything, all the Parkinson's groups. They're all going to come together to show what they can do. And I have spoken to my Strictly friend, and he's agreed to come and do a dinner to raise money for people with Parkinson's. And my lot are going to perform. Oh. How cool is that?
Well, I just want to say thanks to the both of you, for Jane from the Jack Petchey Foundation and Moira Brock from the Dance Fantastique. Thank you very much for coming in and our community spotlight section. And you are free to leave if you wish to. You don't stay for the rest of the meeting. You're welcome to stay if you want, but you know. But yes, thank you very much, and every more success to you all. Thank you.
I think that, you know, what Andy was saying earlier about the whole purpose of this area committee, it was sitting right there. Yeah. You know, all of the doubters about the difference that these committees make need to listen to our community champions like Moira, and their lived experience of these small pots of gold that we're giving to different groups, the huge difference it makes to people's lives. You know, it's quite inspiring, really, that thanks to, you know, the officers' team, and I mean, I joke all the time about, oh, where are you taking me meeting now, Jenny? You know, when she sends me an email, I've got another one for you. But there's even, you know, people who've been councillors for the amount of time you've been, Alan, do not know about all the groups that are in their wards. You know, I've been a councillor, 12, 13 years now, and half the groups that Jenny's taken me to, I didn't even know existed, to my shame. And I think that part of this IRA committee, is about giving the money, but it's also about that recognition and enabling those groups to have a voice and to have some recognition, and to also be able to promote the great work they do, because there are so many more families that will benefit from the work Moira does and the other champions that we're going to talk about tonight, and those are the community groups that may not know they exist. So in our small way, we can also promote that good that is that's going on in all our wards and across our whole borough. And I think, that's a real important thing. And so, again, like I say, if anybody's moaning that the area committees are a waste of time and a waste of money, how wrong are they? Thank you.
Thank you. So I'll move on to item number 5, funding considerations. Don't know what's happened to my tongue today. Okay, funding considerations on pages 17 to 28. Just scrolling down. Okay, so the bottom of page 17. I'm getting there. There we go. Right. Okay. So the Basildon Area Committee is around 1 investment requests, and I will hand over to Officer of the Council to talk about the Basildon area item number 1, the Pride teams. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, so we have 6 projects and programmes for consideration this evening, and the first of which is a £38,000 investment to fund 50% of a 2-person Pride team for the Basildon area, Friends and St Martin's ward. This will be broken down £30,000 from the Believe in Basildon Fund and £4,000 from each of the community priority funds. The Council Pride teams, as part of the neighbourhood services function, are multidisciplinary teams able to support and enhance neighbourhoods through the undertaking of the following works: soft landscaping, cutting back and removing overgrowth, deep cleaning, weed spraying, edging of pathways. If successful, each area committee provide each area committee the ability to input to the works undertaken within each of the area committee boundaries through monthly work setting and progress updates with the chair and at these meetings.
Do you have any comments and queries from the members? Councillor Brown?
All of us want to live in a place that we can be proud of, and a place that we feel safe in and we feel secure, and that it is so important what it looks like and feels like when you walk outside your door. And those Pride teams and the work they've been doing this last 12 months, particularly since that whole reorganisation took place, since you carved up the borough pretty much in the way that we have in our area committees, and enabled people to grow that local knowledge and build those relationships with the community, you can see the borough's starting to look different. And that's down to the teams. And it's down to that vision that you had of how that could look different and how it was going to work different. And obviously, everyone talks about the 5,000 years you've been working at the council. Nearly 5,000 years. But, all of that knowledge has come together, I think, in the way in which the Pride teams now are operating. And I think that changing up the operating model has really benefited. But we all know that we have to pay for that. And so I have no qualms whatsoever in supporting this tonight, because I feel for all of our residents, whether they're our tenants or they're living on our streets and walking up and down, and the way in which this borough looks and feels is important. It's important for people's that whole belief in Basildon, that pride. But it's also it sends a message of safety and security as well, that is fundamental to having a decent life. So I want to say thank you for the work that your teams are doing, and talking to my residents, and it has definitely been noticed that the place is looking better and therefore feeling better. And the amount of complaints I get about the things that aren't looking better is going down. So thank you. I appreciate my casework diminishing. But no, fantastic. Thank you.
Councillor Ferguson?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just to echo the comments of Councillor Brown there, that I think over the last 12 months, getting the basics right has been a mantra of our administration. We saw that with the drive to reintroduce the crunch service last year, and I know we'll be talking about that again later on tonight, fixing the bins. I think this is a natural evolution of that, of actually being able to empower members to be able to represent their residents and raise issues on their behalf. That all of us have done street surgeries, we engage with our residents regularly, and issues around the environment, taking pride in our areas, is an issue that residents bring up, and it's an opportunity for us to be able to actually, through yourself, Mr. Chairman, through your monthly meetings with officers looking at that work plan, being able to actually shape what that looks like within our wards for the first time ever. And I say this as a cabinet member that's been involved in discussions over the last few weeks around the reorganisations of the Pride teams, and the fact that the previous work programme of the Pride teams was down to the cabinet member of the administration of the day. I think this is giving all members a real stake in the decisions across this borough and giving them the ability to represent the residents that elected us into this place in the first place. And I think that's such a valuable opportunity. And getting the basics right, allowing residents to take pride in the areas they live is so important. So I fully support this tonight and look forward to being able to work with you as a member for St Martin's Ward, but also be able to work with other members of the committee and being able to receive regular updates around the work of the Pride team and be able to, like I say, have that real stake and shape what that looks like going forward. Thank you, Mr Chairman.
Thank you. I agree with everything you said there, and also one of the good sections about this is that we can have an input into the works undertaken within our areas. So if we do have a lot of casework or something that appears and it's like, oh, there's a tree's fallen down over here, or there's a lot of rubbish in this area, or the weeds are overgrown here, then we can direct the team directly to those areas as well, post haste. So that's a fantastic part that we can now utilise as part of the area committee. If there's no further comments, queries, I'll put that to the vote. All those in favour? Fantastic, it's unanimous. Item number 2, please, Mr Toombs.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. The second item is a £400 funding award to Churches Together in Basildon to support up to 30 people each week to deliver a weekly hot meal service of under adults in St Martin's Church and the Living Well Church. This will be broken down to £200 investment from each of the community priority funds for the respective wards.
Okay, open it up to the councillors. Councillor Ferguson.
Thank you, Mr Chairman. Yeah, fully support this. I think it's really valuable. I know both organisations, both churches, and have provided such an important service to residents across the borough. So fully support this, and I encourage all members too.
Okay, let's put it to the vote. All those in favour? Fantastic. It's unanimous. Item number 3, please, Mr Toombs.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. And third item is, I'll be a bit specific now, £2,213.60 funding award to Basildon Food Bank for the purchase of a small chest freezer and a single door upright display chiller and 2 portable floor standing stands from the Believe in Basildon Fund capital. If the funding is awarded, it will allow the food bank to store more essential items. They are seeking funding from us for the chest freezer and a display unit so they can display the items on offer. And this will enable them to offer fresher items and store fresh fruit and vegetables.
Thank you, Mr Toombs. Councillor Brown.
Yeah, it was really interesting when Jenny, another one of Jenny's little excursions, like off to visit someone today, and talking with them, and the fact that at that time they're having to turn away donations of food that they could give to families that are in need, because they had no way of storing it, whether that was fresh fruit, fresh vegetables, some of the foods that they were being given that were frozen, they had nowhere to keep them, so therefore they were turning food away, food that our families need. This is a great organisation, really well run, really in tune with what our residents need at this time, and for those families who are struggling, a real, honestly, lifeline. And so to enable them to continue to provide that service and to take more donations than they're able to take at the moment, and that is the reason why we're looking at a fridge freezer down to the 13p, whatever it was, because that's how much they cost. So I'd really encourage members, to take a visit over there and talk to the people that are presently running that and interact with them, because I think that it's really vital that we know what's going on in our borough, and that we appreciate the people that are literally a lifeline for some of our most vulnerable families right now, because the cost of living is real, it's not going away, and it's a real challenge for some of our families. But thanks to organisations like this, life's a little bit easier for them. So I'd really encourage you to support this, to enable them to do more work than what they're doing presently. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. I think it's very worthwhile. Heartily agree with, especially fresh fruit and fresh items is really important, even as well as a bag of tinned and other goods. So I'm glad that we can help out. So I'll put that to the vote. All those in favour? Thank you. Unanimous. Item number 4, please, Mr. Toombs.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. So this is a £2,350 funding award to the Gloucester Park Community Group to purchase a new container for them so they can safely store their equipment, and this will be from the Believe in Basildon Fund Capital. The Gloucester Park Community Group is a voluntary organisation that meets every Saturday morning to care for a designated area of Gloucester Park. The new container would allow for safer, more efficient access to the equipment used for maintaining flower beds and near site around the large lake within the park. All necessary permissions, including approval for any groundworks required to install the container, have already been granted.
Thank you, Mr. Toombs. Councillor Brown.
Yeah, I mean, talking to this group about, obviously they were storing their equipment at the moment over in the sporting village and trailing backwards and forwards with bits of equipment. This will just make their whole process more secure and safer for them as well. You know, it's not good trailing equipment backwards and forwards across the park. Our groundsmen team have been really helpful in looking at a spot that is secure and safe for this equipment to be stored in. And it just makes the work of that voluntary group a little bit easier, especially when we're talking about winter months and when a lot of their work takes place as well. And you know, it's quite interesting meeting the people that are involved in that group. Yeah, they do a great job in keeping the park looking a little bit better than it would do otherwise. But it's more than that. It's a real bringing together of a community, and we don't have enough of those types of groups across the borough. But many of those groups do exist in terms of those groups that come together to take care of our green spaces and the amenities that are precious. And therefore, bringing that community together, people that you wouldn't normally associate with, people that you wouldn't normally get to know, you're able to widen that circle of friendship. Talking to some of the characters that we met, they definitely would never have been 2 or 3 people having a coffee together before. And it's amazing how a spade can bring them together. But I think, you know, by supporting them and enabling them to continue that work, it's a vital thing, not just for making our park look better, but as bringing a community together.
Thank you. Councillor Ferguson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, just to echo the comments from Councillor Brown there, I'm incredibly proud to have Gloucester Park in my ward of St Martin's. It's a beautiful space to be able to go for a walk. Dare I say, I did the 10k run around it a few weeks ago, and thoroughly enjoyed doing so. But it is an incredible place in our borough that we should be incredibly proud of, because the people that make it, and Gloucester Park Community Group doing valuable work, and want to be able to take this opportunity to thank them tonight for their work. And I think this is our way in being able to show recognition and support, and also send a message to other groups across the borough that where they need support, this council is there and able to support, and will help where we can. So I fully support this evening.
Thank you very much. It's good to see people put effort and pride into the local parks as well. That's really assisting with our already council team, so that's fantastic. Okay, let's put this to the vote. All those in favour? Thank you. Item number 5, please, Mr. Toombs.
Thank you, Chair. Item 5 is a £5,000 funding award to Cool Carers to provide a tutor to support 20 young carers. And this will be paid from the St Martin's Ward, the Community Priority Fund for St Martin's Ward. Cool Carers is a dedicated community group operating from the Essex Youth Centre at the Timberlog Lane, located in St Martin's Ward. They propose to fund a tutor to work with 20 young carers, focusing on students in Year 11 who are preparing for their GCSEs or undertaking exam resits. The total cost of the project is $5,760. Call Carers is requesting $5,000 from the Basildon Community Private Fund St Martin's Ward, with the remaining balance already secured.
Thank you very much, Mr. Toombs. Councillor Brown, I know you have an interest in this. Thank you.
Yeah, again, another trip with Jenny. It's quite inspiring when you meet some of these young carers whose lives are extremely complicated and complex. And the sheer force of will it takes for some of those young people to get to school every day is phenomenal. And what this organisation does is it brings some sparkle to those young people's lives in the forms of sort of like a youth club type environment. But also they recognise that in order to give those young people what they need to have the best choices next, it's about getting your English and Maths GCSE and what that looks like. And for these young people, there are many more barriers and hurdles they've got to jump over in order to get there. And so they're taking action in that way and deciding how can we, in a small way, help. And the tutoring programme they've been undertaking, they've seen the positive impact that has, because those young people already have that relationship with the organisation and already have a belief and a trust, and that trust and belief is huge for those young people. As young carers, that's not always the most positive of adults in their lives, and this organisation definitely is that. And so I'd ask all of you to support this tonight, to give those young people the best chance they've got in terms of getting those qualifications and moving forward in a really positive way so they can be more empowered for their own lives. And they can only do that with active adults in their lives, and these definitely are active adults.
Obviously I work in a school, and I think I'm always surprised when I see, there's a young carer in the class that's obviously woken up that morning, got a parent out of bed, and done whatever they need to care for them, and then got themselves to school, and sometimes arrive a bit late and told off for being a bit late, and then they go home and repeat that. And it's really great that there is an organisation in St Martin's Ward that supports 158 young carers in our borough, and hats off to them. And I think this is an organisation that's going to help them to learn and help them to prepare for their GCSEs, which obviously those of us with kids of that age know they're going through at the moment. And it's just a brilliant organisation, and I wholeheartedly support every single penny for this going towards those young people that really put their heart and soul into looking after their family members, etc. So, all those in favour? You can still. That's unanimous. Councillor Ferguson?
Thank you, Mr Chairman, and I'm really pleased that the committee has been able to vote for this evening. As many of you will know, I've devoted my life to being a youth worker and know the challenges that young people face in really challenging situations. Since becoming Cabinet Member for Culture, Sport, Children and Young People, one of the things that has concerned me in following a report that the leader produced last year was the rise of pupil absenteeism across the borough. And we can be shocked, we can be alarmed, but I think the most important responsibility for us is to actually understand the reasons behind pupil absenteeism in many cases, and that is because of the additional responsibility that children and young people are taking on at home when getting to school half an hour late because they've taken a younger sibling to the primary school on the way into their secondary school is a real sense of achievement. Having to go home and have to stop by the pharmacy and pick up medicine for a family member on the way home for somebody else that they're caring for. The additional responsibilities that these young people are facing is significant, and I think it's really invaluable that there is organisations out there that are there to support those young people, because and we see it time and time again with the league tables and the statistics, that those that take on additional responsibilities beyond their years are the ones that are struggling most in society. And it's really important that there are organisations out there that are there to support them, to be able to give them the help out and the leg up when they need it most, and being able to give them the opportunity to pass those GCSEs that really sets the foundations for later on. And I look forward to seeing how this funding is being used and the difference that that's going to make to those young people's lives, because they really do need it. Thank you, Mr Chairman.
you very much. Item number 6, please, Mr. Toombs.
Thank you, Chair. So item number 6 is a £4,500 investment to deliver 3 crunch services in the Friends and St Martin's ward. So we're selecting 3 of the 5 available. The proposed dates are Saturday the 19th of July in Friends, Saturday the 4th of October in St Martin's ward, and Saturday the 21st of March in the Friends ward.
Thank you very much, Mr. Toombs. Councillors, do you have any comments? Councillor Ferguson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think the crunch service is incredibly valuable, and we saw that last year with the response rate from residents across the borough. When they saw the crunch being back, they knew that it was the council being back on their side, supporting them, and as we saw earlier on in the investment that we'd taken on within the Pride teams, being able to really get the basics right and be able to put our residents' needs first. Personally speaking, Mr. Chairman, I would like to see us do the crunch as often as we can and be able to have as many more opportunities to be able to do the crunch. So I suppose what I'd like to ask tonight is that we fund 3 crunches. The dates we leave to be confirmed between, we fund those first three crunches tonight, but then give us the opportunity at future area committee meetings to fund additional crunch services to suit the other dates that are there in place, because I do appreciate that there's probably some funding working out that needs to be calculated. But if we could fund the first 3 with dates to be confirmed after this meeting, starting with the first one in July, and then we could revisit the further 2 crunch services at a future area committee date.
So, thank you, Councillor Ferguson. So, July, September and October to be funded. And March, the 2 March ones to be looked at later on in the year. That is... The 20th of September is close to the 4th of March, so the reasoning behind that was to not have a crunch like on top of each other. You know, it's only a week or 2 apart. So if so minded, maybe we could do the 19th and the 4th of October, and then look at the next 2 further on in the year. Yeah. Okay, so we'll make alterations to that. Is that okay? Yeah. I'll just vote in favour of that. All those in favour? Thank you. It's unanimous. Thank you. Okay, and I think that concludes the meeting. Thank you all for your attendance and have a safe journey home.